Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. Breaking news, Everton have confirmed the signing of Dwight McNeil from Burnley for an undisclosed fee. The English forward has joined the Toffees and penned their contract until 2027, 5-year deal from relegated Burnley. What is going on? We literally had 2-3 weeks of absolutely nothing. Transfer rumours here, there and everywhere, but nothing really solid other than the Morgan Gibbs-White stuff. And now all of a sudden, within the space of 24 hours, we've had 2 new signings. The Dwight McNeil story only broke yesterday. To be fair, it's not like this one has been in the pipeline for, weeks. It's not like we've heard about this one first. 2 or 3 weeks ago, if you'd have asked me on the day that we flew home from America last Friday, whether or not I'd have thought Dwight McNeil would be an Everton player by the end of the transfer window, I'd have said, where's that come from? And I'd have probably said the same, on Tuesday, to be fair. I'm getting my days mixed up. But now, he is officially an Everton player, obviously joining as Frank Lampard's third signing of the summer after James Tarkowski and, of course, Ruben Vinagre yesterday. Dwight McNeil has spoken quite candidly about signing for Everton Football Club. The official statement writes, Dwight McNeil has signed for Everton from Burnley for an undisclosed fee. The forward penning a 5-year contract until the end of June 2027. Now, we actually try and digest the fee in itself. Obviously, Everton stating that it is undisclosed, but there are a number of sources across social media who have reported a fee over the last couple of days or so. Fabrizio Romano, of course, who is probably the source to go for transfers. He stated earlier on today that the deal is a 19 to 20 million pound fee. That is a total fee with add-ons included. In terms of what is the upfront cost, I've seen some people saying it's 5 million. I've seen some people saying it's 6 million. I've seen some people saying it's 10 million. That is a little bit up in the air at the moment, but it seems like the deal is worth around £20 million with all fees included. The England under-21 international made 140 appearances and has only missed 2 Premier League matches since December 2018 with Burnley. 140 appearances for Burnley. Of course, he did say that it is an amazing feeling to sign for Everton. When I heard about Everton's interest, I wanted to get it done straight away because of the club and how good the team is. Speaking to the manager about what they want going forward, it really excited me and appealed to me. I wanted to be part of it. He knows me as a player, as does Kevin Thelwell. I want to work hard and do well for the team and the fans. I feel playing under a manager like Frank Lampard, he will help me get my stats up, and that is what I want and improve my game. I'm a direct runner with the ball. I like to get on the ball, cut inside and create chances for the team. I want to help the team as best as I can, work hard and do the defensive side of the game too. He also said last season was a difficult one for the club, but going into the last bit of the season, you saw from the players and fans the desire, mentality and togetherness they have. They come together and we're united as one. That is massive for players and gives you that extra bit of confidence. This season, we want to do better and I want to be part of the team to help them do that. I've played at Goodison a couple of times and you always knew it was a difficult place to go because the fans are behind the lads from the start till the end. It is good and something I want to be part of. Now I am fortunate to be on the same side as the fans and I'm looking forward to getting going. Kevin Thelwell said, we're delighted to secure the signing of Dwight on a 5-year contract. Despite being only 22, he has plenty of Premier League experience and the statistics prove we have brought in one of the best young talents in English football. We are confident that working with Frank and his coaching staff, Dwight can become even better and enjoy a long, successful career with Everton. Manager Lampard added that I've been a big admirer of Dwight for some time. He has huge talent and is exactly the type of player we want to bring into the squad to help improve us. So, a very, very interesting move this. I think for a number of reasons, not only because, as I said, it's completely come out of nowhere. It has completely come out of nowhere. 48 hours ago, Dwight McNeil and Everton Football Club hadn't been mentioned within the same sentence. Now, obviously, we were heavily linked with Dwight McNeil last summer, and I believe there was an inquiry made last summer by Everton, and Burnley were wanting upwards of £35 million for the English forward. Now, at that time, he'd had a relatively decent season the season prior in the Premier League. However, £35 million, given our financial situation, and, even though he'd had relatively steady season the season prior. It wasn't a £35 million season, but Burnley obviously knew that if they were to stay up, Dwight McNeil would likely have played a part in that process. Now, obviously, they didn't stay up, and Dwight McNeil had quite a poor season last season, which we'll touch on in a moment. But £35 million was never going to happen last summer. Never, ever, ever going to happen. So when you look at the deal now, it's obviously only a fraction of that price, 19 to 20 odd million pounds, with what looks like very, very, very minimal fee up front, if you believe to be what is reported. Obviously, we don't know that for sure, but again, the £20 million includes various different add-ons, which I would assume are things like Everton winning the World Cup, Everton winning the Premier League, and Everton starting to sell some decent scan at Goodison as part of those add-ons. And basically what I'm saying there is none of that is going to happen, so it's probably unlikely that it gets to £20 million. But I think the sort of big thing that I think is putting people off at the moment in regards to Dwight McNeil is, I think, two things. One of them being that although £20 million isn't a massive transfer fee in the grand scheme of modern day football, and given what Everton have spent on players in the past, £20 million for a 22-year-old Premier League player who's had over 140 appearances and is already quite experienced and still only very, very young. As I said, 22 years old, got a lot of room for improvements, got a lot of time to improve as well. Isn't that tragic of a deal? However, £20 million for Everton, where Everton are currently at the moment, given our financial position, is a big hit. It is a big hit and it's a big risk. You know, we're not in 2016 where we could spend £20 million and it wouldn't matter because we could go on and spend another 50, 60 in the same summer. You know, we're not in Carlo Ancelotti's first season where £20 million was fine because we could still afford to go and bring in 2 or 3 other players at the same price. It's likely that this will be the biggest signing we make this summer in terms of transfer fee. Now, I might be wrong because I'm not quite sure how the Richarlison deal has been structured and where that falls in terms of how much money we've got to spend and play with this summer. However, if I was a betting man, which I am on occasion, usually when the races are on, but not often, I would bet that this will be the biggest bit of transfer business Everton do this summer in regards to transfer fees. Now, I think when you mix that with the fact that we nearly got relegated last season and the fact that Dwight McNeil's stats last season weren't great, he played every single Premier League game for Burnley, only getting 1 assist, playing 2 in the EFL Cup as well, and only and not registering a goal or assist. I understand why there's a lot of frustration around it. I understand why people aren't particularly happy with it. As I said, to play every single Premier League game as a forward and only register 1 assist with no goals isn't very good whatsoever. It isn't. Now, a season prior, he played 36 Premier League games, scoring 2 and getting 5, which still isn't great. But, again, he was 20-odd years old at this point, a couple of appearances in each competition as well, each domestic competition. And the season prior to that, he had 2 goals and 6 assists as well. So he's never scored more than 2 Premier League goals. Obviously getting none last season. His highest is 6 assists. His all-time Premier League stats, if you look at them, are 38 games. This is decided to not add them up. 148 games basically in total across all competitions. 7 goals, 17 assists. So certainly not blow your skirt up, oh my god, we're going to win the league stats. But as I said, still only 22 years old. You know, left winger, can play on the right as well. Absolute wand of a left foot. Does he improve Everton Football Club? Yes. Does he give us another option? Yes. Are our wide players currently producing much better stats than Dwight McNeil? No. The reality is they're not. Now, I know, obviously, it was Anthony Gordon's breakthrough season last season. He scored, 5 goals, and he done really, really well. But I think we would all agree that Anthony Gordon has got a lot of improvement to do, which is fine. I'm not having a go at the lad. He's still very, very young, and he's still obviously got a lot of time to do that improving. And I don't think that's something we should sit here and have a go at him for, because, as I said, he's still young and he's got all of the time in the world to improve. But the point is he's not a 15, 16 goal a season winger. Neither is, Andros Townsend. Neither is Damari Gray, who started the season on fire last season and ended it really, really poorly, in my opinion. Same with Andros Townsend, Alex Iwobi. So, I don't think it's a point of, Dwight McNeil doesn't improve Everton, because I think he does improve Everton. His stats will have to be much better than what they were last season. It's as simple as that. They will have to be much better than what they were, because no goals and 1 assist in 38 games is not good enough. And he knows that, and he addresses that in his interview. Everton haven't actually put the quote up on the website where he addresses that, but when you watch the sit-down face-to-face interview he does with Everton, he actually addresses that his stats last season weren't good enough, and he knows he needs to be better. Again, I think it's important to understand that he's young. He's still at an age where, despite it's a little bit like, and I'm not comparing him to Tom Davies because obviously different players, different positions, different areas in the career, but a little bit like the Tom Davies argument where you look and you go, well, he's had over 150 appearances for Everton and yet he's still only 23 years old. Now, I'm not saying Tom Davies is good enough or ever will be good enough to be a starter for Everton, but what I'm saying is, it's not like we're signing Dwight McNeil for 20 million at 25, 26 years old, and you look at him going, well, he's only ever had maximum 2 goals in a season and 6 assists, and last season he was awful and he's 26. Dwight McNeil is still 3-4 years away from being in the prime of his career. Yes, he had an off season last season. We've seen what he can do with that left foot at Goodison Park the season before that, when he curled one in fantastically. He can take set pieces. He can create. He created more chances last season than any Everton player. And these are the stats that you don't really see unless you delve into actually having a look at the stats in a more in-depth situation. People will look at it and go, well, he didn't score a goal last season, only got 1 assist in 38 games. In the season prior, he only got 2 goals and 5 assists. That's fine. And listen, in an ideal world, I could sit here and say he was playing for Burnley and Everton are a much better team than Burnley. But as last season showed, we're not that much better than Burnley. So I get it, but again, a stat that is being sort of overlooked is I believe he created more chances than any other Everton player last season. So that automatically, that automatically sort of tells us that he improves us, doesn't it, straight away? And whilst I understand that it seems a bit of a lazy signing, in terms of, a Premier League player who is young, got potential, just being relegated. There's not many of them. Dwight McNeil, Emmanuel Dennis, Maxwell Cornet, all players we've been linked with, by the way, who, if you'd have asked me 4 weeks ago to compile a list of the easiest targets, the 3 of them would have been on the list. And I understand completely, the people saying, why aren't we looking in other areas? Why aren't we looking at different leagues? The French league, the German league, the Spanish league, even the Italian league. We're seeing a lot of players coming from, even other leagues around Europe at the moment. I get all of that. I get it. But I just don't think this is the worst signing in the world. I said yesterday, at the end of yesterday's live stream, I think he'll score 10 for us this season. And that might be a little bit of blind optimism. That might be a little bit of blind naivety. But I just got a feeling that this will work. I don't know why, because the goals and assists in previous seasons aren't looking particularly exciting. But I've just got a feeling that this transfer will work. And I had a similar feeling, and I'm not saying that I'll be right. And listen, if I'm not right, I'll sit here and I'll hold my hands up and I'll say I'm not right, I was wrong. But I had a similar feeling when people were worried about Richarlison because he'd had a really, really poor 6 months at Watford before joining Everton. He'd had a good start to the season. He tailed off massively. We signed him for big money, £35 million, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, this is a lot of money to be spending on a kid that's not really had a great time recently." And yet he come in and was here 4 years, gave everything, worked hard, and was our best player. Let's be honest, and unfortunately we've lost him. I just have a feeling that we will see a ridiculous amount of improvement from Dwight McNeil over the coming 2 or 3 years, and that will help. That will help. That will help Everton Football Club ultimately. He's, as I said, he's young. He's still 22, and I will keep saying it because we keep having to remind ourselves that this isn't a lad who's 24, 25 in the prime of his career. This is a lad who's still 22 years old. He's still got, effectively all of his career ahead of him. He's just signed a 5-year deal. These are the most important years of his life as a footballer. He's going from a 22-year-old who people look at and go, well, he's still got potential, to when this contract ends, he'll be 27 years old. And at that point, if you've not done it at 27, then you're not going to do it ever, are you, really? So the motivation for Dwight as a player will be to go and show everybody that he is good enough and that he's got the quality to be a top forward in the Premier League. Not only because he's signed for Everton, but also because, again, as I said, these are the most important years of his career. So, yeah, again, Marcel Brands was a fan of him. So for people saying, oh, Lord Marcel Brands was a fan of Dwight McNeil. And ultimately, we've signed 2 players this summer. And I'm not, again, listen, you all know my feelings on Everton's board and Everton's recruitment. I'm not sitting here and trying to praise them more than they when they don't deserve it, because my thoughts on Ross Barkley and Idrissa Gana Gueye is that it's fucking devastating that the fact that we're even linked with the pair of them, and the fact that we're linked with the pair of them should say itself that people should be losing their jobs, because we could be on the brink of bringing in Idrissa Gana Gueye to replace Idrissa Gana Gueye, only 3 years older, and Ross Barkley to replace Ross Barkley, only 6 years older. Neither have done massive amounts while they've been away from Everton. Gana Gueye's had some really good games at PSG, to be fair to him, but obviously not enough for them to want to get rid of him only a couple of years later. So I'm not sitting here and praising Everton to be a kiss ass or whatever, but the fact of the matter is James Tarkowski and Dwight McNeil would have cost Everton upwards of £50 million, the pair of them, last summer. We've now got the pair of them for 20, what might be 7 million up front, which I actually don't think is too bad of a business. Mike says Traore is twice the threat at half the price, still hopeless though, and a couple of other people have mentioned Adama Traore, which I think is interesting to mention him as a player. We were linked with him a couple of weeks ago. I think Adama Traore is absolutely shite, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Yes, he's got pace, yes, he's got power, yes, he's quick, but he's got absolutely no end product whatsoever. And we could sit here and say, well, Dwight McNeil's not got much end product. He only got 1 assist last season. He created more chances than any Everton player last season. Adama Traore is just not for me. If we could get him at a cut price, 5 million, 10 million, then, maybe, because he's got enough, I think, pace and power to be able to warrant that money. But for the money Wolves were wanting for him a couple of years ago, he's nowhere near worth that amount. Absolutely nowhere near. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. It really, really, really is an interesting one. Obviously, we'll get behind Dwight McNeil now. He will wear the number 7 shirt at Everton, which obviously is a big responsibility, taking that off of Richarlison. And again, for a young lad, would we have wanted better? Yes, I would have, in an ideal world. And I'm not sitting here saying that there wouldn't be better out there for cheaper. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Everton's recruitment is lazy. That's how I would describe Everton's recruitment over the years. Lazy. Not only is it awful, not only are some of the decisions we've made absolutely shocking, but the lazy decisions as well. The fact that we're looking at Ross Barkley is lazy. The fact that we're looking at Idrissa Gana Gueye is lazy. You're not telling me that there's not a 19, 20-year-old midfielder who's got the same characteristics and plays in a similar way to Idrissa Gana Gueye who could go and get for £5-10 million in France or Germany or Spain or whatever. You're not telling me that there's none of those midfielders about. There's only Idrissa Gana Gueye. Fucking bollocks. It's just laziness. It's pure laziness. But I don't know. I've just got a feeling that Dwight McNeil will be a good signing. I've just got a feeling that Dwight McNeil will be decent value for money. And at the end of the day, he's still only young. Will we get to see him tomorrow? Hopefully. I'm sure that is the plan. I'm sure the plan for Frank Lampard is to integrate him as quick as possible, which would mean obviously giving him game time tomorrow against Dynamo Kiev, as well as obviously Ruben Vinagre, who was announced yesterday. Interesting to see where Dwight fits in as well. One thing I am worried about is that he's not in any way, shape or form quick. And obviously he's a wide player. And one thing I think you need in the Premier League is pace. Pace and a good footballing brain, a good decision maker. And whilst I think he's a decent decision maker, Dwight McNeil, I don't necessarily think he's got enough pace to particularly do that role. Now, would he work in a different role or a different position? I don't know. Maybe Frank Lampard's looking at playing a 5 at the back, which would mean he mightn't necessarily need his pace, because you've got Mikalenko and Patterson either side of him who've got that pace as wing backs, or Vinagre, who of course has played at wing back before. But if he's going to be played as an out-and-out winger, it's the same problem I have with Dele Alli. He's not quick enough to be played as an out-and-out winger. Dele Alli, for me now, after watching the game against Blackpool and watching the 2 games in the States, Dele Alli has to be played as a second striker, a backup for Dom, a false 9. He can't play on the wing, he's nowhere near quick enough, and I don't even really think he can play in the 10. He's got to be played in a position where he just hovers around that 6-yard box to grasp onto chances. Now, Dwight's obviously a little bit different because he's a lot younger and he's got a lot more, I think, to play for in terms of, I think, his feeling about his own career, we'll say that. But he's still not quick. He's still not going to be a winger that's going to be bursting down the line and putting cross in after cross in after cross in, is he? Because maybe he will, but he's not going to be doing it with pace because he's not particularly quick. One thing I am happy about with this signing is that it has gone relatively under the radar. I've criticised Everton quite big over the last couple of weeks or so about releases and press releases and the fact that everything gets leaked. I mean, literally, they put out Ruben Vinagre's welcome interview yesterday about 3 hours before they officially announced them. And this goes back years, by the way. I remember Cuco Martina being announced after being pictured, getting off the team coach before we'd even signed him officially. And, kits getting announced on social media days before they're released or revealed, and being put in train stations hours before they're revealed. It just seems amateur, and I know that might be me being a little bit picky, because ultimately, when I was growing up, you only found out information if you heard it from the club. So you only seen the kit when you turned up at the shop and the shutters come up and there was the kit, or it was in the newspaper the day before. You only seen players being signed when it was on Sky Sports News, when it was done. Now with the days of social media and everybody knowing everything and in the knows and this, that and the other, it's much more difficult for those things to be kept under wrap. Now, I understand that. However, I think the fact that we managed to keep the McNeil situation under wrap until it was basically done. Let's be honest, we found out about this when terms had been agreed and the negotiations with Burnley were in an advanced stage, and about 20 minutes later it was a deal agreed. So I'm into that. I want more of that, because it just avoids the rumours of being linked with players. The Morgan Gibbs-White situation, where for days you're thinking, right, this looks like it's going to get done now, and then all of a sudden now it looks like it's not going to get done, which is fine. But it would have avoided, the looking into Morgan Gibbs-White and seeing where he fits in, because it wasn't going to happen. But yeah, as I said, I'm strangely excited about Dwight McNeil, and the reason I say strangely is because his stats last season are nothing to be excited about. Certainly his goals and assists. I think his other stats are decent and worth having a look at if you have a look at them. Go and look at his stats compared to Damari Gray last season. I think a lot of people will maybe feel slightly different about him if you do have a look at them. I just think at 22 years old, we've seen his talent, we've seen his quality. He'll never be fast, because pace isn't something that you learn. Pace isn't something that you grow over time. You're either quick or you're not quick, and he's not quick. But that just means we'll have to utilise him to get the most out of his strengths, rather than putting him on the wing and saying, just run as fast as you can, because that isn't going to work. We know he's got a wonderful left foot. We know he's a creator. We know he's got an eye for goals. We know he moves forward with the ball. Now, whether or not he does that enough, I don't know. And I think that's probably why the club are still looking at Ross Barkley, because he does move forward with the ball. However, again, I just don't think this is the worst signing in the world. I just don't. And I know some people aren't massively happy with it, but I just look and I think, do you know what? I've got a good feeling about Dwight McNeil over the next few years. Now, listen, I could be sitting here in 12 months' time saying, what the fuck did we give him a 5-year contract for? What a waste of money. But the reality is, that's football. You could say that about anyone. I remember sitting here when Moise Keane signed saying, this is amazing. We've finally found our replacement for Lukaku. He's going to be this, he's going to be that, he's going to be the other. And after about 3 games, I sat here and went, he's fucking shite. And he was. And I know he's, there's different circumstances, COVID, new country, this, that and the other, but it never worked at Everton when we all thought it would work. So, yeah, again, I'm not massively disappointed. I think it's a big risk because, as I said, I doubt Everton will go and bring in a player that will cost as much as Dwight McNeil now. Unless, obviously, somebody else leaves the club for a significant amount of money, which I think is unlikely as well. But, yeah, I just don't think it's as bad as what a lot of people maybe think it is. Am I sitting here about to have a party because I'm over the moon? Not really. But I I think this could be a smart signing in the future because he's young. He's still got a lot to learn, but he has got a lot of potential. Whammy says if we were 60 minutes in, down 1-0, would you rather greased up Adama or Dwight McNeil? Well, I'd rather Adama Traore, but that's one scenario, isn't it? That's one situation. I'd rather Dwight McNeil start a game than Adama Traore if we were going to be on the attack, because I think he's got more end product than Adama Traore. I'd rather Dwight McNeil take a penalty than Adama Traore. I'd rather Dwight McNeil take a free kick from outside the box than Adama Traore, because Adama Traore had likely hit my house with it, and I live 15 minutes up the road from Goodison. So it's a different scenario. We understand where you're coming from. But maybe it's just, listen, it's opinions, and everybody's got a different opinion, and that's fine, and that's why we're here, and that's why I do this channel. For you to say to me, Cam, you spend 20 million on Dwight McNeil, or you spend 20 million on Adama Traore, what would you rather? I'd rather spend 20 million on Dwight McNeil, personally. Adama Traore, still not old, 26 years old, which isn't by any sense of the imagination, an old player. He's in sort of that prime of his career. Obviously went out on loan to Barcelona for a little bit last season. Had 11 league games for Barcelona, 2 assists, which isn't too bad. 2 assists in 6 games in the Europa League as well. Prior to that, 20 games for Wolves, 1 goal, no assists. Season before, 37 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. 4 goals, 9 assists season before that. So, and that was his best season, the 4 goals, 9 assists. Season before that was 29 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. So his stats aren't particularly too dissimilar to Dwight McNeil's, only he's 4 years older, and personally I don't think he's got as good of an end product. But again, in an ideal world, we'd be sitting here going, well, you take into who Dwight McNeil's just played for into consideration. He's played for Burnley. They haven't necessarily got the best strikers, they haven't got the best attackers. Maybe at Everton it'll be different because he's got X, Y and Z, but last season, we can't sit here and say that, because Everton and Burnley were very much like for like last season in terms of their position, their performances, where they ended up in the league table. So, although we'd like to say, yeah, but we've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Burnley haven't, or we've got, Anthony Gordon and Burnley haven't. Again, last season, until the final few games of the season, these players didn't particularly cover themselves with a lot of glory, did they? I mean, Anthony Gordon done well, to be fair, considering it was his first season. But yeah, look, again, I seen Baz describe it before as whelmed. Not overwhelmed, not underwhelmed, just whelmed. I'm sort of just, on a scale of 1 to 10, how I'm feeling about this transfer, I'd probably say a 6.5. I'm not as low as some people are. I'm not sitting here going, oh my God, he's going to be amazing. I'm just think that I've got a good feeling that this will work. But maybe I'll be wrong. Blue Cali says, hey Cam, watching from my halls in Turkey. Much like you say, I'm optimistic for this signing. Remy says, well, Adama still has better stats. I'm not saying Adama is good. I'm just saying he has purpose. McNeil is just 5 years of not for 20 million. Maybe. But I get what you're saying there, Remy, because what you're saying is Adama's purpose is his pace. And in the Premier League, you do need pace and you do need power. And McNeil doesn't really bring pace and power, and Dele doesn't bring pace and power, and Anthony Gordon doesn't bring a massive amount of pace and power. Damari Gray isn't particularly powerful, and he's in the grand scheme of things, he's not massively quick either. So I get where you're coming from. Same with centre midfielders, but I'm seeing a lot of people who are made up about Idrissa Gana Gueye coming back to Everton, and last summer I'd have been made up for Idrissa Gana Gueye to return to Everton. Now I'm sort of sitting here and thinking, how have we gone 3 years and our replacement for Idrissa Gana Gueye is Idrissa Gana Gueye? It's just woeful. It's absolutely woeful. Same with Barkley. Well, does Ross Barkley improve Everton? Yes. Does he walk into Everton's team? Probably yes. Do I want him? Not particularly, no, because he absolutely walked all over us when he left. Do I think he'll be an Everton player by the end of this summer? Absolutely. I mean, the kid's re-uploading his Everton pictures to Instagram. He's put a diamond in his bio. He's changed his location to Liverpool. He's put a diamond in his Instagram bio. He's effectively saying, come and get me. And maybe Everton will avoid it because of the reaction that we've had as fans to those changes on Ross Barkley's social media. But the reality is, I don't think Everton will be able to help themselves. If Ross Barkley's agent was knocking on the door saying, come and get him, I don't think there's certain people at Everton, I'm not going to name names, but you know what I'm talking about, who I don't think would be able to help themselves. But the sad thing is it's not like we'd be sitting here going, he doesn't bring us nothing, because he would bring us something. And that's where we are as a football club, and that in itself is devastating. Toby says McNeil is a bit like a Wobie. Just looking at him, he looks a very gifted footballer that lacks productivity. Needs to work on that for sure. It's a risk, but at his age and potential, worth the sign an IMO. That's where I'm sort of coming from. McNeil, Ellie Gordon. It's difficult because then, where's Alex Iwobi fitting in there? Who you could argue had a better season than the three of them. Maybe not Gordon, but certainly towards the end of the season. Damari Gray, where does he fit in? I'm tit for tat with Damari Gray. I don't think he's been good enough recently, but some would argue that he should be in there. Don't want Barks back, mate. No, neither do I particularly, but I think he'll be an Everton player in the next couple of weeks. If I'm being, that's just I don't know anything that nobody else knows. That's not me having a in the know information. That's just my gut feeling. With him and Garner in midfield was class under Koeman's first season, says Jack the Lad. Yes, but that was 6-7 years ago when they were significantly younger. And football's changed since then as well. Nate says, I know it's very hard to say, but as of right now, how are you going to line up? The keeper back five, fair enough. But it's the midfield and the attackers behind Dom. It's good to have depth, but I don't like this. The reality is, we need another midfielder. We need a number 6. We need somebody that has got power and pace to be in that midfield and sit in front of the defence. But yeah, it's difficult. Out of McNeil, Cornet or Adama, I would have 100% gone with Cornet, says Star Wars Shorts. That's interesting. From what I've read and heard about Maxwell Cornet, his attitude wasn't particularly great. And this might sound very weird, this to say. I've seen a couple of people say, I'm not asked about what type of personality the player is. They just need to be good at footy. I remember being heartbroken in 2009 because Everton played an FA Cup final against Chelsea. And we had a number of players out injured. And one of the players who didn't feature in it was Royston Genthe, who was on loan at the time. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and speculate about the whys and wherefores. But it was speculated at that time that the reason he wasn't there was basically just because his attitude wasn't good enough. Now, he might have been stated that he had an injury, but his attitude wasn't good enough. And we know his attitude wasn't good enough because he was always in the news every 10 minutes about his attitude. I don't want... And it's as simple as this. I don't want any knobheads at Everton. We've already got enough of them, and we've just gotten rid of a couple of them in the summer as well. The last thing we need to be bringing in to this football club is players that are going to turn up, think that they're better than everybody else, not think that they need to train, not think that they need to work hard, and think that they guarantee the place at the weekend. And even in games, they're just going to waltz around and think that they're the big time. And that's my big worry with Ross Barkley, is because he's got a bit of that in him. Now, I'm not saying Maxwell Cornet is that type of player, but I'm just saying I've heard things about his attitude which have worried me. But he was better than Dwight McNeil last season. There's no saying that. No, and Wormy says, yeah, but Cornet had 10 goals. Why the choice? Goals or no goals? But no, again, obviously it's goals. But it's not, again... This is a hypothetical situation because it's not been a choice between Cornet and McNeil, has it? They probably wanted 25 up front for Cornet, whereas they only wanted 6 or 7 up front for McNeil. So it's not been a choice between the two. Dennis says, howdy Cam, new channel design looks great. Thank you very much, my mate. Stephen doesn't want Ross Barkley back. I don't think many people do. It was Gabaman who we've got to replace Garner, and he as well. Well, we brought Gabaman in to replace Garner, and now we're bringing Garner in to replace Gabaman. Is that not just Everton for you? Anyway, look, we are going to leave it there then. If you have enjoyed this live stream, please do hit that like button. I want to do another live stream where we talk about Garner and Barkley in a bit more depth, because this was an announcement video for Dwight McNeil. It wasn't about Barkley or Garner. So we are going to do a transfer video where we talk about them. Obviously, we've got the Dynamo Kiev game tomorrow as well. Going to try and get a little preview out for that. And we still need to talk about the new kit as well, because with Everton released an away kit a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't had the chance to speak about it yet, so I still want to have my opinion on that. But anyway, we are going to leave it there. Then if you've watched live, massive thank you to everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you're watching a YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below, and we'll get involved with as many of them as we possibly can. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on the signing of Dwight McNeil. Are you happy with it? You're not happy with it? How do you feel about it? And if you have enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Massive thank you all for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues. Cheers for watching. See you after.